Hey everyone, welcome back to She Blurbs podcast. Today's guest is Mary Elizabeth Jackson. Hi, Mary.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here because we've done this before, but we had too much fun, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We didn't have enough time. That's why I wanted you to come back on. I was like, I want to invite her back on so we have a little bit more time this week.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I enjoyed visiting with you, and we just found out we don't live too far from each other, so we need to figure out a time we could connect and hang out in person, which will be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be fun. So, can
Yeah.
you tell our listeners about your new book, Poohlicious, Oh, the Wonder of Me? Give it.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So this is the third book in my children's series, and you can find all three of them on Amazon. Actually, the first one is Perfectly Precious Poohlicious, and it's for little babies. It actually has 10 songs in the back of the book that were written for the book itself, and the CD is on Amazon as well. And then there's Poohlicious Look at Me, which is like toddler age, crawling, standing, sitting, standing, that kind of thing, like look what I can do, all about like look what I can do stuff. And then the third one is called Poohlicious, Oh, the Wonder of Me. And I love that title because kids are so full of wonder, and look at all the brilliant things they can do. And so it's kind of magical, that time with children. It's just all their first, and they're learning about stuff, and discovering things about themselves and the world and their environment. I remember watching my little guy see rain for the first time, like actually standing and witnessing it. And he was just like, oh, mommy, and it was just like, oh God, this moment is just priceless. Um, and so this one is great for ages 4 to 8. And it's all about the quirky and silliness and awkwardness, actually, of childhood and things that kids go through. And it's written, I like to write from the viewpoint of the child, and kind of like how they think, and what they would say. And it's about accepting who you are, and how you came into this world, and just knowing that you're okay. If you have big ears, so what? You're okay. Your toes are shaped differently. You have crazy hair. Sometimes kids have really crazy hair.
And
And
like me.
and it's okay how we came in. We came in exactly the way that we're supposed to in this world. And part of it is the most important thing is to be okay with who we are in here, whether what is on the outside looks perfect to the world. We have to be okay with all of that, but what's inside here is what counts the most. you know it doesn't matter, short, tall, small, large, whatever color, it doesn't matter. We're still okay. And we have to teach our kids that language so that they can help their friends with that language as well, right? And start having those conversations. So all three books have got I am statements in them. I was inspired when I wrote the first one to put those in, and I've kind of carried on that tradition. There's explanations in the back of this book teaching caregivers and grandparents and parents and siblings how to use that language and affirmations. I am amazing or wonderful. And we're not talking about ego. We're talking about embracing that brilliance that's inside each of us, because each of us has a light, and each of us needs to keep turning that light up to empower ourselves, but help other people empower themselves as well. Yeah, so it's really important. And so there's also like you are statements in here, and there's statements in the back of the book for adults. Like for an adult, you might say a sentence behind your I am capable. Today I think one of the things I say in here, today I have all the energy I need. I am able to do everything that I need to get done today. Um, and if not, put it on a list for tomorrow, right? Instead of beating ourselves up. So I'm going to show the cover of the book. It doesn't have the line through it on Amazon, but this is a not for resale book. So that's what it looks like. I love the bright colors.
Yeah.
And the cover is actually 2 years ago. I think it was almost 2 years ago. We went to the butterfly sanctuary at the aquarium in Chattanooga. And so that's where the cover came from, the picture. So it's kind of based off that.
That's cute. I love it. I love it. So
Yes.
I agree with you. Starting them out young with the I am statements. I am brave. I am smart. I am like I wish my mom would have did that with me when I was younger, but I'm just starting to do that at the age of 33. So I love it that you are like teaching them younger, like while they're, young to do that.
Yeah, get them started out. But you know what? You're never too old to learn. So it's great that you're doing this now because you'll be able to. It's actually very healing, right? To empower ourselves. And the cool thing about words is they're free, right? We have them with us all the time. You don't have to buy them. You don't have to wait for them to come in from Amazon. You know, if they don't fit right, you don't have to take them back. You know what I mean? They're with us all the time and they're easily accessible. So if a child's having a really bad day, then they can turn to words like this to help change the energy or how their mood of how they're feeling or how they're feeling about themselves in the situation and turn it around to a different belief system for themselves as well. So it's really funny because last week my son came into the bathroom and he says to me, and this is a true story, and it was like, whoa, because I write about this in this book. He says to me, Mom, why do I have such big ears? They're so ugly. I look like a monkey. And I went, what? I go, where did this come from? Did somebody say this to you? I mean, no, just me. And I go, buddy, I said, look at mine. And so I pull my hair back, and I'm like, and he started laughing. And I pull my ears out, and he goes, I said, but my hair covers my ears, so you can't see mommy's ears. And I said, but yeah, the great thing about ears, honey, is that the bigger they are, the more you can hear, the better you hear. So I tried to turn that for him in a positive way so that he wouldn't be feeling, having a self-confidence issue. So I really was kind of caught off guard by this. I had no idea this is how he felt, but I was really glad he was able to process that and tell me how he felt. And that's really important for kids because they can have all these things, but words to go with it and express it. So we really need to teach them that so they're not carrying that around with them. And then it affects their behavior,
Yes, I agree. And that just reminds me, I am a huge fan of Pink, the singer Pink. And her daughter went to her and was like, Mommy, I'm ugly. And she said
Mm.
exactly what you said to your kid that she said to her daughter. I was like, oh, and I started crying. I was like, that made me even bigger fan of Pink. But yes, definitely. Because she was like, I look like a little boy. My hair is short. And she was like, you look just like me. Like, you're beautiful. Like, it was really sweet.
Right.
So I agree with you.
Yeah, that is very sweet. Yeah.
So how is parenting different raising special needs children?
Well, parenting period is not for the faint of heart. If you're not prepared for the job, you should not take it. That's what I say because
Yeah.
it is quite challenging. It is, and it really well, I've gone into it's made me a different parent. Let's say that it's made me a different person, a different kind of parent than I thought I might be. And it's challenged me sometimes to, on your knees crying and praying and feeling like a complete failure. But it challenges you to be a better parent and a better person. Because if you have to parent in a different way because you have a child with challenges, then you need to and this is the thing I think is very important to empower yourself is to research and read up and understand everything going on with your child so you can help them through life to understand what they're going through or what's happening with them when they're talking to them about this. Understanding whatever their diagnosis is or their challenge helps you to parent them better to make their world better. And it makes your world easier. Like I learned with my guy when he was little, when he had a meltdown, when he couldn't, because he was nonverbal. I have 2 of my 3 kids that were nonverbal and they're verbal now, but they were not as children, clear verbals. If I got down to his level and I talked below his tone very calmly and put my hands very gently on his back and his torso and just hugged him almost, it diffused the situation immediately. So then I could get him to come back to being ground zero, and then would feel better and express how he was feeling inside. And so that was an empowering tool for me to learn in order to help make his life easier and better, and mine as well, and our family, you know. And I will say that there's a lot of differences in raising a child with sensory, a child who's nonverbal, a child who is in a wheelchair and might need assistance like their whole life. Definitely, that's a very obvious difference that a parent would have from a parent who's not dealing with that, you know. But it's, I think there's a lot of extras that you have to do in life when you have a child with needs, and a lot of different hats that you have to wear. And sometimes you get to that place where you have times it's overwhelming. You have times you feel like a failure, like I said. You have times that you just want to cry in a closet and give up. And then you have times where you feel like, okay, I can do this. And I've geared myself up. I've learned all these tools, or I've learned some tools. This is going to help, and I can do this. The one thing that's important, one of the things that's important about being a parent of children with special needs or disabilities, is to have a support system around you, because you burn out. It's like people who take care of, for instance, an adult who may have gone into dementia, Alzheimer's, those kind of things. You burn out when you're the sole caregiver. So you need to have support around you, even if it's neighbors, and then sometimes we have to be brave enough to ask for that help, and just say, hey, can you come and play with my child so I can take a shower, or I can take a nap, or I can go get groceries, or I can just sit on my back porch and I can have some downtime to myself. So I can recharge. So that's a thing that, as a parent or parents of children with needs, has to really grasp that self-care part of the whole thing, because you desperately need it.
Oh yeah. And patience too. I know my mom had to have a lot of patience with me. And so I'm sure, like, with special needs kids, it's extra patience, I guess.
Yeah, and that's hard because you've had a long day, and then it's the end of the day, and you're tired too, and your bucket has kind of run out, and then your child still has maybe X amount of things you have to do for them, or they're having a meltdown themselves, and it's really easy for everybody to end up on the floor crying. That's so easy. It is, and it happens, and we just can't beat ourselves up over it. We just have to get up and keep trying and going and learning together to make it a better environment for everyone in the family. I know, being an older mom like I am, I was like, okay, the whole family has to help with raising my youngest, and it really has encompassed all of us together helping. After he was born, I was back in the hospital for 5 days with a post-surgical infection that was, well, I'm just grateful I came out and a mom, and I'm here today. But during that time, here's this newborn who couldn't swallow when he was born. And we had all kinds of diagnoses given to us that it was going to be a pretty tough situation. But he's taken away from his mom for an entire week, and has no idea. It's newborn infant. Where's mom? The only thing I've ever had is breast milk. I don't know how to swallow. So it was a pretty difficult time. And so my girls had to grow up pretty quickly at that point, and to help my husband out with our new little guy. And I think a child who has needs is good for everybody in the family, because the siblings learn compassion. They learn compassion. If they're typical kids, they learn compassion, and how to help take care of someone else. And all children need that. I don't care who the child is. You know what I mean? Because children typically tend to be very self-absorbed, and the world revolves around them, And that's because their emotions are larger than life. So I think that, also being connected with other families and parents who are going through or in the same kind of boat is really helpful. I mean, I'm in some Facebook groups, and you'll see moms post questions, like even new mom groups do as well. What do I do about this? Does anybody have help with this? Can you give me a suggestion for this? There was a new mom, I think she's new in this group, I don't know, but she posted a couple weeks ago about her child, and no friends. She's really very sad for him. He's autistic and sensory, and pretty much almost the same diagnosis as my guy. And I said, hey, let's meet up. Let's do a play date. They're a year apart. I don't mind meeting you out somewhere at a park, and let's just let them play together, and then we can get to know each other, because really one of the greatest things is to have support. And it's hard. I've got typical and non-typical in my home. And so the social lives of these kids is so different. And it's sometimes really heartbreaking. And, especially when their peers don't understand them. I remember my 17-year-old, when she was in middle school, she tried to tell her friends that my brain works different than your brain. And what she was trying to say is that her processing was different, right? And she already understood this. And what they thought she was saying was that she was smarter than them. And not what she was saying at all. And so, of course, they were kind of mean to her, like, oh, what do you think you're better than us? Or whatever they said to her. I don't know. But it was very hurtful. And all she was trying to do was to help them understand that she processes slower. And she's got slow processing. And so, if she moves at the pace of a worm, no matter what I do, she just, speed is not her thing. And so that is a diagnosis, I'll never forget when I saw the definition of it. I went, oh, praise the Lord. There is a definition for what is going on all these years.
Man.
And so, I mean, she is in her world. And if you didn't understand it, you'd be a parent who was pissed at your kid all the time. And then what good does that do? Then there's nothing but this going on. There's friction. There's stress in the house. There is a child who feels like their parent doesn't love them or disapproves of them, or they're always doing something wrong. And that's not beneficial for anybody, right? Because then the child grows up having these self-esteem issues. And I mean, so figuring out and understanding what our kids are going through or what they're doing. Now, lazy is lazy.
Yeah.
And, there's a cure for that. Just kick them in the butt, right? Get up and help. There's a difference. Yeah. So, I was born in 1967. So, lazy was not allowed. It just wasn't.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Because my mom's generation, yeah, she was always like, get up and work, get up and do something. Like, so I
do something. I don't care. Do something, please. So,
but mine and my brother's generation, we was always outside. So, I mean, the new generation, they're always inside on the phones playing. We was outside climbing buildings and stuff, falling off buildings, breaking legs. I'm like, yeah.
You're part of the same generation I am. We just about 20 years apart from each other. Same thing. Out till after dark, no phones, no cell phones, no pagers. Nobody knew where you were. I mean, it was a very, very different time. Now people are afraid to send their kids outside. You think they need to be closer to home. They need to have an adult with them everywhere. Part of that is true. Part of that is true. There's a lot more crazy in the world than there was 20 years ago, 30 years ago. But so I don't know if that answered your question. But I mean, I know, for my guy, in order for dinner, someone else had to do something with him. either constructive or watching a movie or reading or playing or something so that I could cook dinner. So I was be like, okay, do you want to cook or do you want to play with your brother? That's your choice right now. Otherwise, we're starving. Okay. We're having popcorn for dinner. So
Wow.
popcorn for dinner is not bad, but
I did want to ask you, like, okay, your son and your oldest daughter, how is it with like their relationship? Like how is she getting along with him? How is her patience with her little brother?
good question.
Gosh,
So yeah, that's a hot question. So my oldest is 20 and she and my youngest get along very well, very, very well. But the 17-year-old who's on the spectrum as well, and my little one, they get along, but there is more and I'm like, you're 10 years older than him. You are going to be an adult soon. What labeled an adult at 18, which I still think is kind of crazy jokey,
yeah,
because it's just a number. And it's not like you're 17, you turn 18, all of a sudden you're grown up, know how to do everything on your own.
exactly.
I know, or nor should you even be able to make decisions by yourself. But,
And I made
but
terrible decisions at 17. I moved out at 17 and it went downhill. So yeah.
oh, girl, I'm so sorry. But yeah, I mean, think about it. We think we know everything at 18. We can make all.
Yeah.
I know. Oh my gosh. Um, but it's funny. They bicker. They do. And her patience. That's what she has to work on is patience. Because and my oldest will go. Now you know how I felt when you were little. So they do. So they do that whole thing with each other. So it's kind of funny. Sometimes there's some grumpiness, but we try to laugh about it as much as we can. But it's hard for him. He's 8 and he lives in a house with the grown-ups. And I have to keep reminding everyone, hey, listen, he's in a house with grown-ups. We got to be fair to him.
Right, right.
You know,
I did.
all he hears is
I want
everyone.
to. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. It's okay. What?
I did want to ask you. So your oldest daughter isn't on the spectrum. It's just the two youngest ones that's on the spectrum.
Well, there are things. Yes, most of it's sensory stuff. I mean, definitely all 3 kids are sensory kids. But the diagnosis wasn't happening as much 21 years ago. So all her stuff fell through the cracks. I mean, I knew as she was growing up, I knew about stuff, but it wasn't until my second one was diagnosed that it was like, oh, okay. So now where we are in life now, a lot of things I apply to him, I apply to all 3 of my kids. Like we're just like a sensory household. You'll find poppers in the house, you'll find slime, you'll find squeezy toys and fidgets, and they're here and there all over the house, right? And so yeah, definitely she has a lot of sensory. Her ears. She was a child who no one could touch her but me. Like she wouldn't let anyone touch her but me. You couldn't come up behind her and hug her. And my little guy was like that. His was much more extreme, and she could only wear certain colors and only wear certain fabrics, and she had texture sensitivity. But when she was little, all I got was she'll grow out of it. That's what I was told.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, 21 almost, not grown out of it yet. But the good thing is she knows how she is sensory wise, and she now, even at her age, she will be like, I don't want to be touched right now. So I used to, a long time ago, it would hurt my feelings because I didn't understand. It took me to be unable to understand, because I find myself being that way after a long day. I just need to decompress and not interact with anyone at all. Even though I'm an extrovert, I have to have that time too. So would I say yes, all 3 of them are? Yeah, I would, except that, like I said, there was no one, and they were like, oh, she's fine. Don't worry about it. She'll get over it. That's basically what I was told by the pediatrician. So, I was like,
Wow.
well, that doesn't help. So I really was I was on my own for a really long time, and having to learn things. And so now she understands so much, and there's so much education that we have learned, so many things we've educated ourselves about. So we kind of do things different in the house. Like the other night, she and my middle daughter are in theater right now, so she's teaching all day. And then there were friends over, and then it was a certain time, and I said, okay, it's time. Everyone needs to go home, and
Mhm.
and I need the house to close down. I need, just family and quiet. That's what we all need. So we're going to do our sensory shutdown at the house and
So,
other people.
what is sensory? Like, what do you mean by sensory? Like,
Well, we have all our senses, right? Hearing and feeling and tasting, and we have all those senses. So when somebody has sensory issues, it means that it's a very heightened state of awareness that their body and all their receptor sites are in. It's like if you put on the blow dryer in a bathroom, your blow dryer or hand dryer somewhere, and you see a child do this, or an adult might do that, that means their ears are extra sensitive to noise and sound. So
okay.
people can have smells can bother them, lights can bother their eyes, fabrics can bother them, taste, certain textures. Like all three of my kids have certain textures of food they will not eat. So that's someone who has sensory, and it means their nervous system is kind of on hyper.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of research out there that will tell you that the brain and the nervous system of these kind of people is looks completely different than a regular person have sensory issues.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Yeah, because I do that at work. Like this guy touching my hair, and I freaked out. I was like, "Don't touch me!" And the people's looking at me
Oh
like,
yeah.
I was like,
So
I didn't mean to
it's
like yell at him. I was just like,
right. What had happened probably is that when he touched you, you could feel probably his energy, and it just didn't feel comfortable to you. And so that's why it's like, okay, please don't touch me right now. You know what I mean? It's like a download of energy of someone else's, and it doesn't feel very good, which really, this is the interesting part here. It kind of overlaps into people who are empathic and people who are highly intuitive. And that those are people who feel other people's stuff and their emotions. And, like if somebody sits down beside you, you might be totally okay. Like you're just sitting in, you're just you, right? And somebody may sit beside you, and all of a sudden, maybe you feel sad or depressed or angry, and you're like, why am I sad, depressed, or angry all of a sudden? And it's really not you, it's the guy sitting next to you.
oh, okay. I never really even thought that. Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that's being empathic, and sometimes it's being, intuitive is more about receiving information or thoughts or feelings ahead of time about something, like, hey, I should go right here instead of left. And you're like, why am I thinking this? Because I need to go left, but go right. And if I left, there might have been an accident down there that you avoided. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that gut instinct about stuff, like when you're taking a test and your instinct tells you it's answer A. So it's very interesting how all of this overlaps. I see it a lot overlapping one another. And I think it's really, I think it's a superpower, to be honest with you. And and using it, empathy period helps us to be able to feel for others, and be able to have compassion.
Yes, I agree. I want to thank you, Mary, for coming on my show and speaking with me about special needs in your new book.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited about it. Yes, please go buy a copy, please.
You have a great day.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye. Hey everyone, I want to thank you all so much for listening to my podcast. Please excuse my dog, she is barking at the door. But I really, really, really enjoy my conversations with Mary Elizabeth. We are in the talks about setting something up to speak more about special needs children and, her books. We are thinking about every 2 weeks. We're just thinking about it. So we're going to talk about it. And if you would like to purchase her new book or purchase any of her other books, you can go to her link. Her website is down below, Instagram down below. And yeah, just communicate. Develop friendships with other parents who have special needs kids. I hope you all have a great, wonderful day, and thank you all so much for your support. Have a great day.